Good morning, everyone, and my god, what has happened behind me? This was fine a moment ago. I hate it when it does this. One moment. No. Everything was fine, and then it all went awfully. Let me see if changing the lighting can help with that as well. Hello, good morning. It's not morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Wednesday. There's two of me. It's all going wrong today. If I do that, it's a bit happier. I'll put the overhead light on as well. Let's try that again, shall we? One moment. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. You've definitely not seen me before, and it definitely didn't look weird then. It's Wednesday, 10th of February. It is 20 to 1. And we are here to do some more work. I'm going to be giving you a catch up first of all on what's happened since I last streamed, which was Friday. It was Friday. Was it Thursday? It was somewhere in the vicinity of Thursday and Friday. It was Friday. No, it was Friday. I can remember days of the week. Yeah, catch you up on what's happened since then, how things are going, how my health is doing, because obviously last time that you saw me, it was not great. Spoiler, still not great. But it's starting to look like one that I'm accepting the not greatness, and also that it may be getting better. So yeah, we'll do some catch-ups. And then we are going to do, I want an easy win, basically. So we're going to do a bit of the write-up that is already basically all sorted, because it all uses research from my master's dissertation. The only thing I will need is some primary source references. I have one already, but that's an example of something done badly. So I need potentially some good examples. There are some that I can think of, but I can't quite find the names of, so we'll see when we get to that. But yeah, that's the plan for today. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm being trying to be a bit more relaxed in what I'm doing, and just seeing how it goes. And that's very much what I've been doing the past few days, actually. It's really just, well, for one, I've been getting frustrated. I was a little bit better over the weekend. I managed to get a bit more resting done, to have some time where I enjoyed myself. I've still been writing a load more fan fiction, which has been wonderful. I got I made a comic. So I'm gonna give you because we're talking about role-playing games today, so this doesn't feel quite as off-topic. So go to Table Story and watch all of their shows. So I grew up thinking I couldn't draw, being convinced that, and like hanging on that, being like, no, I'm good at everything except drawing. Drawing is the one thing I'm really bad at. I was the person who was it Cubism or something in like year 9. So that's 13, 14. Everyone else, like, it was in pastels or some sort of chalk or something, and everyone else did these beautiful, bright, multicolored things, and mine was black, dark green, and dark blue, and they all went up on the wall, and I can remember seeing just like this black void that was my artwork. I was very ill. That was where I was starting to get ill at that point, and maybe this was an indicator to people, I don't know. I thought it looked amazing. That might have been my goth phase as well, which I never quite fully got out of, nor should I need to. Anyway, I drew a comic for one of the Table Story shows, which is every Friday. It's the Rime of the Frost Maiden D&D module. It's absolutely amazing, and you should all go and watch it. And it made me cry horribly at 2 a.m. So I made a comic of the part that made me cry horribly at 2 a.m. and they all really liked it. So that was lovely, and that was a nice thing to have spent some time doing. I've got about 2/3 of the Herald's Rest built in Minecraft now. I'm building all of Skyhold from Dragon Age Inquisition in Minecraft. It's a silly idea. It's going to take me years, given the scale it's on. I've almost built like the actual shell of the Herald's Rest, so I can then like decorate it effectively as much as one can in Minecraft. I've got some plans involving cheating and making things float so that it looks like a table. Anyway, so that was my weekend. Then on Sunday I started pain flaring again, and it was what's happening with my pain flares at the moment. So if you're new, I have fibromyalgia as well as mental illness problems. Fibro is a chronic pain condition, and it can ebb and flare quite like abruptly, and I've been getting really, for me, quite short, so like 24 or 48 hour but really intense flares. I think it's partly the temperature, although I'm not like familiar enough with the rhythm of my fibro to say yeah, it's because it's snowing. It's snowing, by the way. We've had snow twice in the 4 years that we've lived here, and it's continued to snow all week. It's been amazing. Possibly not for my body. It looks beautiful. The cat thinks it's awful. A snowflake fell on her nose the first day. She was not having it. I'm having these really like, and they can come on super suddenly flares. So I went from, I think like earlier in Sunday, like my back was hurting a bit, and then suddenly I couldn't walk, like really abruptly. Over the course of maybe half an hour, it got that bad. Got myself to bed, looked after myself. I knew I had something on at 10 a.m. the next day, and I can't currently sleep before about 4 a.m. Partly because there was a problem with my medication, and my medication, I've been off all of my medication for 2 weeks. This is not a good idea. If you can avoid this, avoid it. I didn't do anything wrong. I ordered everything at the right time. I ordered everything correctly. I clarified with the doctors that everything was coming through, because I had a review as well, so it had to be put through manually. It just took ages because where I live, COVID cases have gone up 300% in the past couple of weeks. I'm safe. We're completely staying home. My prescriptions are now being delivered to me by the pharmacy, which is amazing, because it's super hard for me to go and get it as well because of the trouble walking. And I think I may just do that from now on. So that hasn't been helping. But on Sunday I need to be up at 9 tomorrow. I've got some medication that is really limited, that I'm allowed like 7 of every 3 months. 7 tablets. Not 7 prescriptions. You only take one at a time. So I'm going to take one of these. I'm going to get some sleep. I got to sleep by 2 a.m. That was pretty impressive. I got up at 9, I was still in that much pain, but I went, no, I want to go to this thing, and I got up and I showered and I got myself into this room. I had everything here set up. I went into my email and I discovered that I didn't have the Zoom link, but it was time to start, because I get so anxious about things that I load the Zoom link precisely at the time that the thing starts. And I open the email and it's, because I'd skimmed it, and I'd assumed that it had the link in, or that the link was the same as the one from the previous meeting or something like that. And it just said, email me for the link. But it was too late, because there was no way that the person running it was going to be looking at their email during the meeting. So I did not feel great. If you follow me on Twitter, you will have seen that I did not feel great. I continued to not feel great all day. In a way, it was kind of good, because it meant that I had to accept how bad the pain flare was, and then obviously my mind wasn't in a great place after that. So I didn't even go to my reading group, and I swear every single time I had to miss my reading groups, this is my medical humanities research cluster, have a reading group every other week. My supervisor runs it, and this week we were reading an article by Angela Woods and some other people about recovery narratives in mental illness in the UK, and I was like, this is my PhD. And every time I miss a reading group, it's one of those times where we're reading something that is directly relevant to my research. And it is so rare that, like, the sort of medical humanities theory about recovery narratives and the weaknesses of those narrative structures, that's where there is existing scholarship that I'm joining. It's just that none of them are looking at video games and fan fiction. I don't know why. It's a really good place to look. But yeah, so I missed that as well. Because I tried after I'd not gone to the thing in the morning. I did try to do some reading, but my god, my brain fog was awful. I would read one sentence and go, what was that about? And I tried for a while and then just got annoyed. So I did nothing. That was it, basically. On Tuesday, I started my first wave of hospital treatment, which is that I went to a Tai Chi class. Yes, I've been prescribed Tai Chi on the NHS. And I was still in quite a lot of pain, but not anywhere near as much. I was really nervous. They all seemed to know each other. The instructor was lovely. He noticed when I joined that my name was new, but also that my video, because it was a Zoom thing, obviously, that my video and audio were off. And he said, I've just noticed they are. Sometimes people don't notice, but I want you to know it's completely fine if you want to keep them off. And that was so nice, because that way he's covered. If I didn't know they were off, then I could have sorted it out, but reassured me that it was okay that they were off, which was good, because 5 minutes in to the actual session, he had us make really small circles with our feet, like just like I'm doing with my hand right now. So it's a very, very small circle. There was a lot of telling us not to give 100% to everything and just to do really small movements. It hurt so much I cried. And I was like, I used to do all sorts of things with my body, and I can't make a small circle with my foot. And it continued much in that vein, and I probably managed a third of what we were doing. It's weird because like, I've done yoga for years. Yoga comes very easily to me because I'm hypermobile. And the danger with that is that what will happen is I will put my body into positions that are too much for it, but I won't realise. And I think the real difference between, like, trying to do yoga and trying to do this Tai Chi class is that I actually slowed down and focused on what I was feeling, as opposed to going like, right, I've got to get my body into this shape and then this shape. Yeah, it was intense. And then my Wi-Fi came out. So I ended up leaving the class early. I don't even know how long the class is. But I did it. I went and I tried. And there's no class next week. But then I've got class every week from then on. So it will get better. The instructor was so good at reassuring people that they could. So there weren't many standing exercises. Most of it was sitting down. But it was so lovely to be in a space where it wasn't that there were accommodations made for people who were in chronic pain or severe pain. It's that it was like baked in and embedded, that he was constantly saying, here is an easier version of this. Don't do this too much. Stop if you need to. And you know how, like, in a lot of like class situations like that, you'll get a generic listen to your body and stop if you need to at the start, but you don't often get constantly reassured of it. And it was good. It was really good. But it was also fucking horrible. So I was kind of ruined a lot of Tuesday. I spent a lot of it playing The Sims, because I finally bought Snowy Escape because it was on offer. However, I did then, in the evening, get some research done. I got some stuff done yesterday as well. So I will take you through all the stuff that I've done. It's basically work on... Okay. If I take us over to Notion, you gonna show it? Yay! I've worked out why Notion doesn't show sometimes. It gets upset because the title of the note is in the title of the application. So it's looking for I don't know what, but it's got my fanfiction tags and it's upset. Okay, so I had talked about one of the resources I was using is looking at the tag data on AO3, which is the archive of our own. There are other fanfiction archives. There's a lot of other fanfiction archives. But the thing with AO3 is that it's got the most, because it's all open source, it's got the most accessible database, information. It's public about how things are done. The tags are folksonomic. So it's all user generated, which is much more useful for me and my research because it really shows me what the people writing mental illness fanfiction are wanting to show. So I basically went through, and this is not all of the mental illness tags because I didn't go through them all. And I went through just, so there's mental health issues is one master tag, anxiety is another master tag. So I also contacted them to say, could you explain to me? Because I went through all their wrangling guidelines and couldn't find anything. And their wrangling guidelines have some weird shit in. Because this is an archive that have to simultaneously wrangle, please link baby animals to their adult versions, and please link this kink to this kink. Like there's a variety of tags that occur on the AO3. And I want to understand like the reasoning and the thinking behind how the mental illness ones are set up. But I wanted also to pull some data out, so I have some base data just so I can say really sweeping generalizations in this write-up, because at this point I don't need like data I fully examined. It's really just saying I have looked at the data sufficiently to know that there is data here to be analysed. That's all I'm looking for at this point. So of the mental health issues subtags, there's a whole list of like generalized tags. There's then some more specific tags. So all of these that you can see, so I've got like depressed X, X has DID, X has an anxiety disorder, schizophrenic X, X is a character name. So you have like depressed Harry Potter, depressed Sam Winchester, that sort of thing. It was really interesting to see, and this may not be all of them is the other thing, it's only the tags that have been wrangled into this category. There are 230 depressed character. Next highest is PTSD at 129. After that is it ADD? Yeah, at 92, or ADHD. They're clustered together. Then bipolar, then OCD, then anxiety, but it's important to say that some of the anxiety ones are in the anxiety category, so that's a slightly weird one. There were then some characters who had so many so-and-so has blah, or blah so-and-so tags that they were their own categories. So you can see here that Sam and Dean Winchester are considered particularly mentally ill. Interestingly, I know from the fandoms I'm in that there are some characters that would be that high as well. So I definitely don't think this is everything. It may be displaying partly by volume. Oh, you can actually see my cursor now. So I was gesturing with it and you couldn't see anything. So it might be that like Supernatural is a fucking massive fandom, especially after the past few months with it finishing. So it's possible that there's like some scaling occurring here. But then if there was scaling occurring here, I would have expected to see a section of Harry Potter specific ones, and a lot more Marvel ones, because Marvel is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, is now the biggest fandom. It's definitely one of the biggest fandoms. It's always up there at the top, which is partly because it's like a dozen fandoms, right? So I would have expected to see more of those. I had to look up some of these. A lot of these are people from BTS. I have no problems with RPF, but I don't personally read it. So, yeah. So I had a vague look at all of those. So I've got a little bit of data on those. The total number of works under mental health issues is 198,662. So that's of 7 million total fan works. So that's a pretty sizable like amount. Like that's, you know, that's a reasonable percentage. And what I did after that was I started, because I wanted to be able to have some primary sources. So obviously my primary sources need the story to be from the perspective of someone with mental illness. Doesn't matter what mental illness, doesn't matter any details about that. It needs to be from the perspective of someone with mental illness, because otherwise how are you accessing the embodied experience? If it's like a side character and only a side character, that's not going to be the same because it's not from their point of view. And the other limitation, which is a lot harder with fan fiction, is that I need the author to have stated that they have lived experience of mental illness. Excuse me, my new phone, just making itself known. Yeah, I need that to have happened. Now, obviously, there's no like disclose your mental illness box when you're uploading a fan fiction. So what I ended up doing is I only went through the first 100 of those 200,000 works. I will want to go through all of them when I get into this properly. And I pulled some out. I'm going to scroll down to them now. I realise I did this a little bit earlier. Where I've written them up, I have listed what they include. There's no exceptional detail of what's there, but you are going to see the names of a few different symptoms and experiences. So just be aware of that. They're going to come up on the screen. So in those 100 I looked through, I found 6, which is actually more than I expected to be honest. That's a pretty good rate. A couple of them I'm not 100% sure of. Also, I was mostly just because of time, only looking at the opening author's notes or the opening chapter. I was also looking, I had filtered from highest number of comments. So I was definitely getting, there was a strong weighting towards multi-chaptered stories. And this is due to the nature of how the AO3 works. You can comment per chapter, but kudos, which is likes effectively, is per story. So I will also go back in, I mean, I'll go through all of them eventually, so it doesn't matter. But when I'm looking initially, just for the biggest ones, I'll go back in and look by kudos as well. And that may bring up like the same ones. I've obliterated my AO3 reading history, by the way. There's no way I can find anything I've actually read. I really should have made a separate login. My poor history. Anyway, so I found some, that was really lovely and relieving, because I'd started to be like, I don't think I've ever put in an author's note when I've written about mental illness that it's from lived experience. And I'm sure I'm gonna find more where people might not have listed it on here, but they might have listed it on Tumblr or on, you know, some other form of social media, something like that. I've now started spreading requests for recommendations. I got a reply from Toasty Stats, and they didn't know anything about mental illness fandom stats themselves, but relayed it to all their followers so that they can see and comment, and that was I had a small fangirl moment when that occurred. But yeah, so I've got a few. There's a couple of them I need to look at in more detail. I think none of them. One or two might be in fandoms I'm familiar with. I think one of them is MCU. But I can't remember what else. I know at least one of them was BTS. And a lot of this will be because of the way I filtered it as well, that I'm going to be seeing the bigger fandoms because there's more people in them to comment. And by lots of comments, I mean like the top story had like 10,000 comments. Which, that's a lot of comments. But yeah, so and that's what I did a bunch of the other day. So that's cool. That's got us some more data. I need where's this? Here we go. Oh, I did that. And I did that. I've got some other sources I want to look at. That's reminding me to check back for responses for that. I don't need to do all of these, as I've said before. This is all stuff I will want to do at some point. I don't necessarily need to do it for this write-up that we're doing. But yeah, so I did a bunch of those. And I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I've started also working on the video games bit a bit more, just to get more examples of primary sources from people. I reached out to one of the Twitch communities I'm in, to their moderators to say hello, because it would be totally ethical to walk into a community and say, hey, does anyone have some recommendations about mental illness games? I could do that as a normal user, but I think I'm not, I'm not a normal user. I am a person using it for PhD research, and I do think it's important to make sure that I do things properly. I'm also going to fix the fact that half my hat is disappearing, so it is going to look weird for a second. There we go. And that was, so what was lovely is that the mod team responded and said thank you for contacting us rather than just doing it, because they shared because obviously it's one, I'm asking for spoilers effectively because I'm asking you to tell me that a protagonist is mentally ill. I'm also asking about a very sensitive subject, and I don't want to just rock up and be like, hey, give me all the trauma. And all that sort of thing. So we had a conversation about how to do it thoughtfully, and they're fully behind me, and I have their support, which is lovely, and they were really excited about my research, so that was very cool as well. And yeah, so I'm doing it just in that one community to begin with, but I will then spread it out to more. I just don't want to overwhelm myself straight up. And I don't know why I've got a question mark next to Life is Strange, because clearly it's a good reference. Yeah, so and that's what I did on that. That might not sound like that much, but given what the past 2 weeks have been like, I think that's amazing. I've had multiple pep talks from people reminding me that I'm only this is my 3rd full week of my PhD. And I've already just like completely disintegrated into the belief that I'm a failure and I can't do this. That took 2 weeks. So, cool. Actually, no, it took 1 week, really. I can do this, and I am good at this, and this is all gonna go really well. It's gonna go great. I'm gonna mute for a second so I can blow my nose. I'm not crying, I've just got a bunged up nose. What should I say? I'm not crying yet. That's really that's the perpetual state the stream is in. But yeah, so I slept abysmally last night, but I feel a bit better today. But I definitely feel like I want to work, but I'm aching a lot, and I'm not 100% convinced of my capacity. So what we're going to do is we are going to write up a bit of the role-playing game section, because as you may know, or you may not know if you're a little bit newer here, I wrote my master's dissertation last autumn on healing trauma through the experience of role-playing games. So I have done 6 months of research on this already. I have all of my notes from when I did that, so it should be pretty easy to write that one up. I have the thing that I'm lacking is examples. So I have an example of how you can be mentally ill in tabletop games, which is the example from World of Darkness. I can't remember if it's in every edition. I'll have to look that up when I get into things more deeply. But in WOD games, there is a mechanic by which you can effectively take a disability. And what I'm about to describe is very problematic. You can take a disability, and what it basically does is it gives you some negatives relevant to that disability, but it gives you more points to spend on other things, which, as we know, is not how fucking disability works. You don't... It's a very common thing in how disability is portrayed, right? You've got the idea that Sherlock is autistic in some presentations, and because he's autistic, he's a genius. And that, you know, like, it's almost like the autism is the price he has to pay for his genius, which is bullshit. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of things like that with all kinds of disability, even in things that are otherwise good representations. Like, if you think of Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Toph is amazing. She's super cool. But there's sometimes with the representation of her blindness, and obviously I'm saying this from the perspective of someone who isn't blind, it feels a bit like they've gone, she's blind, therefore she's got these superpowers, like her hearing through the floor with her feet, but then it's also because she's earth aligned, and it gets a bit weird. Which I think is a cool space to explore. I think that's why I think there's aspects of her portrayal that are really interesting. It's the same thing with Daredevil. There are some ways in which they're showing things in a cool and interesting way, but not always getting it quite right, because you are trying to marry supernatural powers with a real world disability. So yeah, it's a thing that is common, especially in fantasy and sci-fi, but it is wildly ableist and awful. And some of the things you can take in World of Darkness are things that are psychological. So I can't remember any of them off the top of my head. Actually, I should probably look that up for writing this up. But yeah, and you can take a mental illness. There is a movement within the tabletop community, within the disabled part of the tabletop community, to get some rules in where, because it's difficult, because we do want to be represented, right? You want to be able to play a character that reflects your experience sometimes, to explore that. And you're just to be a self-insert, and so that you can be a superhero, you know. And there are some movements to do that in a way that is realistic, but also fun, but also works with, you know, the systems that are there. I saw a thing for chronic pain in D&D that was super cool. I cannot remember who put it together, but there's a bunch of things like that around, so I will reference those in my write-up, probably not necessarily directly, because I don't want to get too far into specifics with this one, as I think it's going to take up less of my thesis. But yeah, I'm really there's a lot to talk about basically, and a lot to discuss. It's funny that we mentioned Table Story earlier, because I'm actually going to reference one of their current shows in this write-up, which is based on some people who are mentally ill and are in a clinical trial that is dodgy. Let's just put it that way. Which, again, very common thing in genre fiction. But it's really, you have to be so careful with that sort of thing. But there's some really interesting things so it's called Cerebrum Project. There's some really interesting things that they're doing in terms of passing the embodied experience to the viewer and involving the viewer directly. And there was I'm trying to work out if I can say this without spoilers. No, I can't say this without spoilers. I am going to spoiler you, not for last week's session, but the one before, which I want to say was session 3. So if you don't want Cerebrum Project spoilers, bye. I'll give you a thumbs up and a message in chat when I'm done talking about this. Because it was really, I found it super uncomfortable to watch because of the nature of it. So they have a character who is experiencing social anxiety and paranoia. So obviously that's really resonant for me. And they do some tests where they play sounds to people and ask them to identify what they are. And one of the sounds that they've played to him is a big crowd and an angry crowd, because those will stimulate a response in him, which is to say that they will trigger his mental illness. And this is part of, that it's not an ethical practice. They deliberately play this to him super loud. Now, I found it uncomfortable watching it as a person who is triggered by that. So they had this playing really loud. They then played over it a song that had been written, that we all as the audience could hear. The other characters were saying they couldn't hear, and he could hear. And the lyrics to the song are, "Hey Marvin, we are the voices in your head," and it continues in that vein, and will keep you up until you're dead. Like, it's very intense. It's really seriously done, and they played it on loop for like 5 minutes. So that's interesting in itself, right? Because what you've done is conveyed something very intense. It's conveyed the experience of it to the viewer, because the viewer is also stuck listening to it. Here's the really interesting thing. Chat started quoting the lyrics. The chat filled with all of these voices. So the chat was saying, "We are the voices in your head." Now that's made me so uncomfortable. But at the same time, I was sitting there going, this is really interesting. Like, as a social experiment kind of thing, we've all gone, hey, cool, we get to be this guy's auditory hallucinations. That's fun. And that's horrific. Like, when you think about it like that, that's horrific. But it's a really good demonstration of involving, especially like in terms of actual play streams and streaming and role-playing, of how the audience can become like a fifth player. So that's the end of the spoilers now. I'm gonna thumbs up and do that. But yeah, so I'll have to put us back on spoilers later as well, because I'll be writing that up. But yeah, so that's what we're going to write up today, basically. Again, the same thing as before. It's all in my head. It's just a case of dumping it out with some references. And this is stuff that my secondary supervisor for my PhD was my supervisor for my master's dissertation. So she's familiar with the theory, because I've shown it to her for 6 months. But my primary supervisor isn't at all. So it's going to be useful to explain to one of them what the theory is in general, and then to the other how it's relevant in this new context. But yeah, so what we're going to do is, I realised that my new keyboard is in the other room, and I would like to use that because of I got a flat keyboard where my hands are painful. So I've got a beautiful keyboard, which is like this Corsair mechanical keyboard, and it's lovely, but it can be very painful to type on. So I will pop off AFK for a minute, and I will grab that keyboard and look at the snow. And when I come back, we will do that write-up, because I can feel I'm a little bit anxious today already, so it might be that we just do that write-up and that's it. We'll see how I'm doing. But I'll be right back, and I will see you momentarily. Hello, it's me. Right. Just got to remember how to connect. It's a Bluetooth keyboard that connects to multiple devices. This is it, by the way. It's gorgeous. But I think that's right. Yay. Okay. I'm also, you're going to find that I'm going to type incorrectly a lot. Because it's a new keyboard, so bear with me on that one. I'm going to try and actually get myself comfortable as well, because this is quite hard right now. Okay. Now we've got the problem of starting, which will be the same thing that I had with graphic novels. It's all in my head. I just need to get it out. I could quote myself. I guess I could open my dissertation document and I could quote myself. Right. I think I want to start with something about how role-playing itself is an embodied experience. Maybe I'll just go real simple. Oh, am I going to be able to? I can't scroll yet. Hold on. I know what I can do. I can fake scroll. There you go. I've just got a load of line breaks now, so you can actually see it. In live role-playing, this experience, I just saw snow. I've got like net curtains over my window, But out the corner of my eye, I caught the movement. They must have been some really big snowflakes. I love snow. I've never really lived in very snowy places. I have a memory from when I was a child where we had a load of snow one winter, and we lived in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, and we had one of those roads that had quite steep banks either side, and then was fields atop those banks, and they're like 5 or 6 foot deep in places, these banks. And what happened was it snowed tons, and then the wind blew all the snow off the fields and into the roads, and they were completely full. Like, you couldn't drive down our road. We burrowed down our road. And I have this really vivid memory. I have no idea how old I was. I don't know when it was. I don't know if my mum would remember, but I've got that really vivid memory of just everything being completely white, which is it's a lovely memory. I have some very nice childhood memories as well as some very horrible ones. So it's nice sometimes to think of those good ones. And can provide an even more immersive experience as a result. Role-playing, then, is a fertile medium by which to transmit the experience of living with mental illness. I now want to say something about how it's like it's got to be curated intentionally. You can't just go in and be like, I'm going to play a character with OCD, because you're, in all likelihood, like something that's very internal, like a mental illness, isn't going to spontaneously provide symptoms in your head. Those symptoms and things need to be curated externally. I need to turn the volume of my phone down. I'm sorry about this. It'll be my email. I was going to say it's probably a family WhatsApp chat, but it is in fact my email. But you're me. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. It's a new phone. I'm still sorting it out. Yeah, role-playing then is a fertile medium by which to transmit the experience of living with mental illness. However, it is obviously limited. I don't need the word obviously. Limited by the need to simulate many symptoms, experiences externally in order to have the player experience them. You will not, after all, start to have obsessive thoughts just because you decide to play a character. However, this could be there are ways to simulate this both externally and within oneself. For example, I think OCD is too easy an example, really. It's or not easy, but because you can force yourself to follow compulsions, right? Even if you're not going to have the obsessive thoughts, so you can get a degree of it, but it's never going to be the complete experience. But then none of this is ever going to be perfect, is it? It's never. We're searching for how things can do it in a good way, in an effective way, in an authentic way, but we're not expecting 100% authenticity because that's impossible. Some of the physicality of the experience. Many role-playing games have addressed mental illness directly, but not many have done so well. In the role-playing game series world of... I'm going to need to look up what edition it is. I think it was taken out. Is it condition? No, conditions is what it is in New WOD. Oh. Yes, I've remembered what they're called now. They're called derangements. I'm just containing my anger. I played WOD games for so long. I think they're great in a lot of ways. Okay. List of derangements, that's what I want. Characters can... I'm not going to worry about editions actually here, because now I might mention this was changed in a later edition to not be quite so horrific. Acquire what are known as derangements. Which are either supernatural effects or mundane. Yeah. These are generally acquired through some form of trigger occurring in-game. I'm just looking through the list now. God, some of these descriptions are so bad. Where's the... Is it... Do I want it in the general derangement section, probably? Many derangements can be taken as flaws during... Flaws is what it is. So there's the derangements, which you can have applied to you, but then you can also take them as flaws at character generation, which is where you get the points back. However, they can also be used at character creation, using the merits and flaws system. This means that in exchange, a character gains more points to spend. I'm not even gonna. I don't have room to explain what XP spending is like. I'm not gonna worry about it here. If they need me to explain it, I will. On other skills, as if mental illness is a skill. Good writing there. Like combat or social prowess. This setup is clearly problematic and ableist. It builds upon the trope that can be seen in things like, I'm going to use the Sherlock example because it's a really good example. That disability is a detriment that makes room for some kind of... I'm trying to work out how I want to word this. The trope that... disabled people are valuable only because their disability is exchanged for some kind of gift. Yeah. This can be seen in portrayals like maybe I won't write about examples. I think that's well known enough that I do, and I'm trying to keep this one short. Damn it, that's not really happened. The ID was one of them, wasn't it? There's so many of them as well. It's like when they wrote these derangements, they went on a fucking shopping list of the ones that sound fun. And that's the difficult thing, isn't it? That a lot of the representations you find, a lot of the reasons there's like loads of representations of PTSD and loads of representations of like things that are considered cool, interesting. I don't know the right word. And they're problematic because they're not authentic, and then they become just gratuitous. In the same way that sexual assault is represented in a lot of TV series and films and books and all sorts. It's done very gratuitously, like Game of Thrones. And the same occurs with mental illness, and that's one of the reasons that I'm passionate about / looking at own voices mental illness effectively, because it may still be gratuitous in us as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't remember the last time I wrote a character that couldn't be diagnosed with PTSD. And that's partly the nature of one of the reasons I'm writing about genre fiction as well, is that it's part of the nature of that too. It's one of the downsides, isn't it? So I just sort of drifted off in thought there. What else do I want to say? More recently, however, there's been a growing, and it's very recently actually, in the role-playing community, especially the tabletop community, and I don't know if that's true actually, I don't know if it is especially the tabletop community, but a growing movement within the role-playing community to create systems by which the mentally ill can explore their own experiences through role-playing, and others can be given the chance to share in that experience. And oh no, maybe I want to make this a separate sentence. This being authored by people with experience of mental illness and other disabilities. These systems aim to bring I've got to stop using the word experience. I need to find a synonym for experience. Experience of being a more authentic experience that also makes use of collaborative storytelling's capacity to heal through that exploration. Should I cite myself here? This is, so I might just actually, because I'm not writing this for like public consumption at this point. I am writing it for myself, my supervisors. So I might at this point just say, this was a lot of the basis of my the fuck was my dissertation called? My dissertation, what the fuck was my dissertation called? Oh yes. Don't mind me, I'm just having to open my dissertation to remind myself of the title. I don't remember the title of my PhD. Wow, that went weird. I didn't hyphenate, did I? I did hyphenate. Oh. Now the question is that all I want to do? Is there anything else I want to mention? I've not put any other, I didn't mention Cerebrum Project. Okay, maybe I'm going to put that in. One of the limitations of researching, yeah, this is good. This is what I want to do. Role playing is the ephemeral nature of the medium. Unlike many of the other forms, hi Emma, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Unlike many of the other forms I will be studying, there is not generally any artifact produced by role-playing. The exception to this is actual play streams and podcasts. I'm alright, thank you. Yeah, I needed. This is us getting an easy win today, as I needed to feel that I'd achieved something. So we're doing a slightly easier write-up. One of the intentions researching role-playing. The exception to this is actual play streams and podcasts, which are recordings of groups playing tabletop games. Even these, however, are limited because they do not place the viewer. I always look exhausted. I always look exhausted. That's what you get from being chronically ill. One of my illnesses means that sleep doesn't work as well for me. I don't get enough REM sleep or deep sleep. So it means I can sleep like a sufficient amount of time, but actually have not really gotten anything from it at all. And I've also not been sleeping well, so that doesn't surprise me. Even these are limited because they do not place a viewer in an active participatory role. But even this is starting to be, even this fourth wall is starting to be broken down. We're going to go back to spoilers. So there are going to be spoilers for the Cerebrum project on Table Story, especially, I think it's episode 3. It's not the most recent one, it's the one before it. Mental health is important. It is very important, and I am taking care of myself, thank you. It's just, you know, you can do everything that you need to take care of yourself, and it can still not be enough. At certain times, so but thank you for that, and I hope you are taking care of yourself as well. But yeah, so we're going to go back into spoilers again. Same thing. If you need to mute, toddle off for a bit, I will give you a thumbs up when we're done, and also I'll put it in chat because I'm gonna now type up the thing I typed up earlier. I will then, when we're finished, scroll off it so that the spoiler isn't there. This is the problem with writing up about things that are in progress. Even this fourth wall is starting to be broken down. In the Table Story production... Table Story's production Cerebrum project, a game where the players are mentally ill persons taking part in a morally problematic in an inhumane clinical trial. Tools are used to no, because it wasn't necessarily deliberate. A very interesting during one of the streams. Cerebrum project is live streamed. So much for this being short, by the way. Cerebrum project is live stream on Twitch, with the audience able to engage via text. At points, the cast also read and respond to this text, generally when not performing. During one session, Marvin, a character who experiences severe social anxiety and paranoia, was subjected to a series of auditory tests. These initially consisted of sound of a loud, angry crowd being played at him. intentionally to cause distress. This was then added to with a song. I can't believe I'm writing this up. This is a really weird thing to be writing up. With a song that the other characters claim to not be able to hear, but could be heard by both Marvin and the audience. The song was played on repeat for, I don't know how long it was actually, several minutes. It was definitely several minutes. And had the following lyrics. I've got to just go pull the lyrics off the Discord. I've got to make sure I get the, I want F3. Oh no, that was an episode 4. I had almost spoiled myself. The thing is that there's so much talking in this. I just want to make sure I get the lyrics correct. So that's the SoundCloud for the song. I can't play it on here, obviously. I'm just having to click a lot of spoiler tags. In order to, because the table story community, really good for their spoiler tags, by the way. But it means to find these lyrics. Oh, no, that was inspired by it. Aha, I found it. Okay. This, however, does include the emotes that people spammed, so... I also think it's "We Are," because that's the only way it fits in the meter with the... I've got to get rid of all the chicken dances. When this began to play, the audience also began to spam? Is there a better word that I can use than spam? They spammed the lyrics in chat. Post the lyrics in the chat. In essence, they, previously an unparticipating viewer, became the voices. It became the auditory hallucination. Shattering the fourth wall as if it had never existed. This was, for many, quite horrific to watch. Myself included. Especially given the severe nature of the lyrics. It has become something of a meme for the show. which both problematizes and complexifies. Is complexifies a word? Yeah, apparently it is. Oh, good work, me. Which both problematizes and complexifies something that was incredibly powerful in its affect. This is my version of short. Okay, hold on. I need to see if this is where we're wrapping this write-up up so that I can unspoiler us. It is without question that role-playing games have an incredibly powerful role to play. Oh no. I can't do that. I can't say that. No, I'm going to. These games have an incredibly powerful role to play in transmitting the embodied experience. And I think it will be a fruitful focus of study, given how easily that power can be turned to ill as well as for good. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. There we go. Spoilers over. Yeah, so that's I think that's done. And how many words are in today? It's 1,400 words now, and I've only done 2 of the subjects. Text statistics. Oh, I want session stats, don't I? I don't know if I have that. Okay, well, that was just me being curious anyway. I think it was at 700 before. So I think or was it 600 and we've done 700? It's one of the two. Either way, we have another write-up done. Hey, let's check that off. Check those off in Notion. And in fact, if I move us back over there, we're completely safe from spoilers now because you can't see it at all. Yeah, so I think the I'm gonna like try and focus on the fan fiction one, get that finished this week as well. That then brings us to I'm gonna put these in bold if they're done now, just because that's easier. I'm gonna push on that next bit with video games as well. I've just remembered that I need to think about what is the word for what I was about to say? You don't know. I mean virtual gaming. Virtual reality. Thank you. Thanks, brain. We got there in the end. So yeah, I'll push a bit more on the video games thing. I think we aim to finish fan fiction this week. I can then maybe next week do video games and interactive novels, and then genre fiction and artist books the week after, and finish it off and write it up. This is vague, obviously. God knows what's going to happen. It could stay cold and I could be in a lot more pain still. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. How long have we been live? Like an hour and a half? That's not bad. Considering how hard things have been. Right, I'm gonna bring us back over to here. So just in terms of streams for the rest of the week, I won't be streaming tomorrow. I will probably stream on Friday. And we'll I didn't do any note typing up last week, so I need to do that this week. So we might do that on stream. I might do that off stream and we'll do something else on stream, we'll see. But what I will be doing for the rest of today is I'm gonna do that next bit with video games. I'm gonna put that thing up in the community I talked to. I might poke at some of the fanfiction stuff as well. Otherwise I'll like do a more intense poking at the fanfiction stuff tomorrow. I did have a look at the OT podcast. And from the look of the titles of the episodes, there are definitely some that are going to be useful. So I'll go back and have a look through those. I want to go back and look through old fansplaining episodes as well to see if that helps. And I'll look at fandomstats.org as well. So do that sort of thing tomorrow, and then can probably write it up on Friday. Maybe we'll write that up on stream. I think write-ups are quite a nice thing to do on stream because you can really see like what I'm doing working process-wise. And yeah, I hope that this does continue to be interesting. And I think it's interesting. I think I would find it interesting to watch. But I know you don't, because you don't see 100% of it. It can be a bit weird, and that's why I want to always be good at giving you updates of what's happened and an idea of what I'm planning to do, and then we can see what I'm planning to do ends up in relation to what I end up doing. Because I think that's important as well if you're looking at doing a PhD, is to understand. And I like how I'm talking like I know what I'm doing. This is my 3rd week. It's important for me to remember and understand that things don't go at a regular speed, especially not when I'm chronically ill, which I will be forever, because that's how incurable illnesses work. And it's okay that some days I need to just play The Sims and build Skyhold in Minecraft. I'm probably going to make a video, by the way, of when I finish the Herald's Rest. I'll make a video of me running around the Herald's Rest so you can see it. I'll probably post it on YouTube and put it on my social media. But yeah, so that will be it for today. What I'll do now is I'll take a break because I definitely am feeling my standard stream anxiety. I'm hungry. I'll take a break and have some lunch. Maybe go and look at whatever junk I got from the vault on WoW, and take a bit of a break, and then do some pottering later on when I feel up to it again. Yeah, so thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for coming. I hope you've had a lovely week thus far, or that you're surviving, because surviving is enough. And I will see all of you probably Friday. Hopefully Friday. Friday, assuming that nothing goes wrong. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter, and there will be thanks, bot. There will be. Why did Streamlabs do that, not my bot? Is it because I did it from there? No, that's strange. I'm gonna have to look at why that's broken. Anyway, yeah, you can find me on there. I'll give updates. I'll continue to prattle about what's going on. There's been a lot of ranting the past week because I've needed to. But thank you all so much for being here, and take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you soon. Bye.